Hey guys, welcome back to Spilling the Reality with Trisha and Kiley. And I am so glad to be back. Lauren did a great job filling in while I was gone. But I'm so happy to be back. But confession, I was on vacation in the middle of the woods in a cabin. I had terrible signal. I was not able to check Twitter. I was not able to check anything. I have not even watched the Thursday episode. That's how far behind I am. So Kiley was really working hard to bring you guys everything while I was out, and we're so thankful for that. But yeah, so today we're going to spend some time. Kiley's going to catch me up, and everything you see from me today will be absolutely like I literally know nothing. So yeah, I'm glad to be back. Kiley?
Y'all just drop us some comments as we're going through. I'm going to try to hit on all the important things that Trisha missed, but I'm sure that I'm going to forget something. So if there's anything she needs to know that I skip over, make sure you drop it in the comments and we'll hit on all of the interesting things. All right, so let's get started.
Yeah, let's
So,
go.
you missed the Thursday eviction episode. So, what you don't know is Bailey and Davon did not give a zinger of an eviction speech.
Oh,
They
that's
were both, yeah, I mean, it sucks, but they were both super classy. They really talked about their friendship and how, they were just blessed to meet each other. And I think it's really interesting because I watched some of Bailey's exit press and I did not realize that they did not know each other before they went into the house. Like they met one time, took a picture together, but they did not have a friendship. So, this friendship that they formed in the house was completely organic, unlike some of the other relationships in the house. So I think that's pretty cool. But the biggest thing from the eviction episode that you need to know is Bailey, when she left the house, she talked about how she just really wanted, it was important for her to come back onto Big Brother, not necessarily to win or to compete, but just to show another side of herself. And that she is not what you've seen on her first season of Big Brother and not what you've seen of her on the challenge, but she can stay cool, calm, and collected. And they did a really, really good job of showing their fight with Christmas. Like they hit on all the important details. They didn't skip
good.
anything, and they definitely made it look like Christmas was the one that escalated it. So I think Big Brother did a good job editing it.
Good, because whenever we went out last week, I know I was tweeting and I was pissed at the edit because the last thing I saw was the Wednesday episode where we got the edit of Tyler, and I was really pissed about that edit because we know from the feeds that what the things he was saying in the DR were not things that were being said in the house at all, even in conversations with his allies. So really
Right.
glad that they showed that edit.
And okay, so I can't remember if this was on Wednesday's episode or Thursday's episode, but they showed this conversation with Davon and Christmas where Davon is like, Bailey's working with us. She wants Tyler's head on a silver platter. And where Day was trying to convince Christmas, like, hey, this is a good thing, she actually, of course, took that the exact opposite way and was like, oh my gosh, Tyler's my number one. So if Bailey wants his head on a silver platter, she's got to go. So it pushed even
Oh,
further back on Bay. So Davon made a mistake there with that. And it showed Tyler saying, oh, well, I was trying to do something nice for Bailey, but if she's still going to be coming after me, then maybe I don't want her to stay after all. So that's how they twisted the Tyler thing.
yeah, that was on the episode that I saw on
Okay.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. So, anyways, Thursday night, we get the wall comp for the endurance competition. Um, Davon drops
The
super
wall
fast.
comp that we predicted.
Yes, the wall comp that we predicted. Davon dropped super fast, like 12 minutes. And this is shown in last night's episode. So Davon drops within 12 minutes. And we talked about it on the episode with Lauren, where we said this was probably a really, really good strategy by Davon. Like, if you are not going to win it, then you need to be last. Because if you show that, okay, I got runner up in the HOH last week and I did really well this week, like, you don't want to come off like a threat at all. And so she even says that in her DR. She's like, okay, well, I know how they're looking at me, and I want to make sure that they don't think that I'm strong. And so I'm just going to go ahead and drop. And I'm like, good for you, girl, because if you're not going to win it, then you might as well save yourself the cold ass water and the time
and the
just
energy.
and the energy. And I mean, they all had like torn up hands and everything. So she just decided to go on and sit it out. Cajun
Awesome.
Reseller says she scripted it like she fell early, but she just stinks. Oh, that is so harsh, Cajun Reseller. I do not. I think that she knew she would not win this comp. Therefore, why stay up there for 45 minutes or an hour when you can just be out in 12 minutes? Like, I think she threw it, but I think she threw it because she knew she probably wouldn't do well. So, what else? What else am I leaving out, guys? So we know that it comes down to the final four being Danny, Nicole, Cody, and Tyler up on the wall. Danny, before the competition started, talked about how she did not want to win this HOH, but she did not want Tyler to win it. So it comes down to those four, and she's like, well, I've got to stay up here until Tyler drops. Tyler does end up dropping third or fourth and leaving Cody, Nicole, and Danny up. And Danny's like, okay, we're just going to outlast Cody. And then she's like, I'm gonna make Nicole take it. But Nicole ends up falling, and as soon as Nicole falls, Cody's like, these girls haven't done anything. They need to get some blood on their hands. So Cody falls too. So Danny wins de facto.
I think, did you win that bet last week? Or yeah.
Yes. Tally won for Kiley,
Yeah.
calling that HOH win. I said that Danny would win it. She does still dominate wall competitions. So yeah. And Nicole didn't win the HOH. Yes, thank you. So you know, mixed emotions from Danny about winning it. She's excited to get her letters from home and her pictures of her daughter, but you know, just didn't want to necessarily have to show her hand this early. But you're thinking, okay, like this is just another week of the same old crap. Like they're going to run this just like they have. The only good thing is that Danny is the one from the committee that's got a slight mind of her own. So, you know, it's a little bit up in the air. And we've talked a lot about what she might do with
Remind
Tyler.
us who's on the committee.
So, the committee, Danny, Nicole, Christmas, Cody, Tyler, and Memphis.
All right.
Did I get all them? Yeah.
Yep.
Cody, Tyler, Memphis, Danny, Nicole, Christmas.
Okay. Yeah.
But we know that Tyler was doing all this craziness last week, so there's the possibility that Danny's going to want to go after Tyler for everything he did. Crazy.
Right.
Okay, so we get nominations, and Danny decides to go the easy route, and she nominates Kevin and David.
Snooze fest, boring.
Boring, so predictable. But David, being the big brother rock star that he is, decides to play his power, which there was a little bit of confusion because we weren't exactly sure if he had to play the power like at the nomination ceremony or if he could do it later, and he had to do it later. So when the feeds came back up and David's picture was on the board, there was a slight freak out where everybody was like, he didn't
do it.
Oh my gosh, what an idiot. But let's give David a little bit of credit.
Like we wouldn't have been surprised. Like, this isn't totally shocking. He has hardly made any Big Brother moves so far.
Yeah, he's done very few things right in the game of Big Brother. He just kind of stumbles his way through it. So he does.
That's how he also got this tower. He stumbled up on this
literally,
tower.
even a blind squirrel finds a nut. So after David takes himself off the block, and he does this anonymously. I almost said unanimously. Those words are too big for me.
Mhm.
He does this anonymously, and he comes out of the ceremony and is like, "Did you save me?" And he's trying to convince everybody that he didn't win the power, but that somebody saved him. And nobody is buying this.
It makes
Nobody.
zero sense.
It
Like,
makes zero
there's not
sense.
even anybody in the house that would save you, David. There's not
And
one person.
And if anybody saves you, they run the risk of going up themselves. And like he even goes and asks Davon, "Hey, were you the one that saved me?" And Davon is like, "David, I was on the block last week. Why would I save you and not have saved myself?" I mean, that makes no sense. And so,
Oh, I cannot with this
of,
man.
of course, Memphis in particular is super pissed that he even has the audacity to pretend that it was not him. I mean, Memphis is completely bothered by this.
Oh, I
Just
mean,
next level pissed.
the things that bother Memphis, if we could have a board, a list of things that bothered Memphis that are so stupid, uh,
Yeah.
we'd have a never-ending list.
Yeah. So, okay. This is completely out of order, but since we're bringing up Memphis, let me drop this in. We talked about on Wednesday before you left about them mocking Ian.
Right.
And on Thursday's episode, when Russell was on with me, I brought the tea that the social media influencer Nicole is being dropped by sponsors. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
Twitter world went out there, they tagged all of her sponsors like Olay and CVS and Walgreens, FabFitFun, everybody she has a sponsorship with, and is like, "Hey, like this is the type of person that you have a partnership with, just letting you know." And Olay tweets out like, "Yes, we had a business relationship with this person, but we do not support bullying in any type of way, and we have severed ties with her and will have no relationship with her in the future." And then, yeah, so Uncle John says all the makeup sponsors dropped her, I'm pretty sure. We also see that she had a deal with a winery, and apparently they were going to do like their wedding party favors, and they dropped her.
Shit, y'all,
And
this wedding's about to go up to about $5,000 per
yeah,
person
so
now.
y'all are
You
gonna
gotta pay
have
for
to
them
chip in,
favors.
and you're gonna have to chip in an extra $2,000 to make up for all of this liquor that we lost. So, help, SOS.
Damn! Twitter
Yeah,
world is out there wrecking
yeah.
shop.
And of course, there's lots of mixed opinions about this. Like, some people are not happy that people are trying to wreck her life. But, we've talked about that special needs is a topic that is very close to both of us. So I don't have much sympathy for her. So, and it's not just at Nicole, it's at all of them. I mean, if people can go and say, "Hey, look, this is
Does
the
Memphis
people."
have any sponsors? Like
Yeah, like I don't know if he does like for
Patagonia?
his
Like who's making
restaurant.
his jackets? He's
Yeah.
always cold.
With his restaurants, I don't know. But, whatever comes to him, like, yes, you are playing a game, but there are real life consequences to what you do. And this is something that I don't have sympathy for you. Like, if you don't want to be looked at as a shitty person, then don't do shitty things. Um,
And sometimes, like, also on social media, we get to see a lot of, the thing we see only what they want us to see, and we're seeing a lot of true character traits here. I know that
mhm.
this house can do crazy things to these house guests, but I mean, at the end of the day, like talking shit about someone having autism, that's just never going to be okay. That's not going to
Yeah,
be okay.
never. And apparently production does have a talk with them, either explicitly or through their questioning in the DR, basically lets them know how it's being perceived. And of course, Danny and Nicole want to protect their image, so they're super concerned with what it's looking like on the outside world if they go after Ian. And as much as I dislike Nicole Franzel as a Big Brother player, like I don't know her as a person, so I have no opinion about her in the outside world. But as a Big Brother player, I don't care for her. But what makes it so bad from Nicole's standpoint is that she talks about how Ian's like a brother to her. And, I guess that's why it's especially heinous of her to be part of people mocking him. Even if she's not the one saying the words like, my daughter has special needs. And if I found out that Trisha, as one of my good friends, was mocking my daughter, even if it was somebody else saying the words, but Trisha was there and laughing, I would be done. Like,
right, like
completely sever ties. Hell no. And no, I mean, Ian doesn't have to be the victim in this situation, and he's probably not going to know anything about it until he gets outside of the house. But it's common decency. Like, don't do that.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I don't know. It's like we're in this crazy time of 2020, and so much is already like, just everything always gets blasted on social media. Everything's always out there. And I feel like, especially in today's culture, if there's anything that we've learned, it's stand up for what you believe in and stand up even when, stand up, even when it's tough to stand up, right? Like you feel like you're going against the crowd. This is not game related. What Memphis is saying is not game related. It isn't okay for him to say those things. And I don't care if you are not trying to rock the boat from a social aspect, you're laughing. That isn't okay. And for you to not say anything like, hey, that's kind of like fucked up. Why would you say that?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just as guilty. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I like this comment from Cameron. Let's also talk about Victor having to sit there and deal with it all going to crap. Yeah. I mean, Victor's probably like, oh my gosh, like you are losing your livelihood because that is her job. She is a social media influencer. And, so she's losing her livelihood. And also, I think I showed it Friday, Victor does release a statement saying, I'm not here to defend Nicole's actions. She's a grown woman. She should know better. But this is also not the type of person she is. Well, no, I mean, that is the type of person she is, because if that's not who you are, then you just stand up for what's right. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think Angela, so when Tyler was, when under fire on social media because of everything going on, when he brought up Black Lives Matter, he, had all these conversations with Bay and Day and then went back on it. We saw Twitter uproar, and Angela addressed it. I think Angela addressed that in a very, the best way she could have. She said, I know this man to his core, and if, these things that he's saying, this is not his character. And, she really said an amazing statement that in my opinion, it was a great statement. I'm kind of surprised like Victor isn't doing the same.
Yeah. Cajun Reseller says, y'all might not like Angela, but she put out a video where she's getting death threats. Yeah, that's completely insane. I mean, that goes in the complete opposite direction of, you may not like what they're doing in the house, but don't be the same type of person that you're criticizing them for being.
I mean, I think like in one of our very first episodes, we talked about how we have to keep in mind that these people, so Memphis was like being a total douchebag, right? Like, at the beginning, and he got his HOH letter, and whenever we had that episode, we talked about it. We have to remember that these are people. We have to remember that these people have lives, and that they're people just like all of us, have feelings, and it isn't okay. Who are you to be able to say this? I'm gonna death threat you, like you deserve to die. That is not it. And like anyone who encourages this is a part of the problem. Just like Nicole is a part of the problem with these threats with Ian. So
and I mean, also with that, people make mistakes too. So, hopefully they
Give
do
them a
learn.
chance, like, to get out of the house.
They do have to learn from them. They're going to have to face the consequences of them. But I mean, by the same token, you have to show people grace too and hope that it's something that they can learn and grow from, because Lord knows I've definitely made mistakes, and luckily, it hasn't been held over my head for forever. So all of that.
None of us are perfect. So
Yeah.
if you are able to say that you are, and well, kudos to you.
Yeah.
But okay. So where we started with this conversation? Let me rewind this really quick so that I can catch up. So okay. So
David uses his power.
Yeah. So they're talking about how it'll look to target Ian. David uses his power. He brings himself down.
But she immediately has to name a re-nominee. And she does put up Tyler, which I'm a little bit surprised that if she was going to take the swing at Tyler, that she didn't just try to backdoor him. Because I would not put him up on the block unless I 1,000% wanted to send him out. So,
I'm trying not to laugh at this comment. Y'all, this comment, Cajun Reseller says, everybody makes mistakes, said in Hannah Montana. I hope we don't get copyrighted for that one. I sound just like her, I know. Anyways.
Identical. Miley Cyrus right here.
Oh. Okay.
Anyways,
I'm Hannah Montana. All right. Okay, so back on track. Let's get back on the right trail here. All right.
Okay, so let's just move into the veto ceremony.
Yeah. David takes himself down. Tyler's now up on the block.
Mm-hmm. So we go into the veto competition. The players that get selected, in addition to the nominees, are Davon, Ian, and Enzo. And shocker of all shockers, Davon, on her third season, you're yellow.
I know.
On her third season, gets her first Big Brother competition win. And I don't exactly know what it is. Like, they said something about it like being a stacking type thing, and maybe you had to knock stuff over. But anyways, it is this little bitty tiny veto. Like, I don't know why, guys, but it's little. And it's so cute. But it doesn't matter how big it is or how little it is. Davon wins. So this is
the
where
the veto necklace.
Yes, it's tiny. It's so little.
That's
like she's
weird.
holding it up to the little camera, and she's like, "Look, it's so small." But I guess we'll see. It's so distracting that you're yelling.
I know, and I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I'm cracking up because the real BB's, she's here with us, and she says, "Yay, Trisha's back," and I am back, but y'all can only hear me. You can't see me.
So distracting that you're yellow. But anyway,
I'm yellow.
Let's just move on. So, yellow Trisha. After Davon wins the veto, absolute panic. Oh, now you're black. Now you're back.
Yes.
Yay! Okay, so absolute panic ensues in the Big Brother house with Davon winning the veto.
Cajun Reseller says shouldn't have sung.
Yes, it was punishment.
YouTube was like, get this girl out of here.
Yeah, let's just drop her out. She cannot do this. So absolute panic ensues because Davon is a wild card, and what is she going to do with the veto? And they are trying to come up with all kinds of schemes and different plans for what they want to do. Yesterday, day before, what is today? Monday? Saturday we get talks of what, Davon and Danny, and Davon is telling Danny, like, I feel like if I do not use this veto, that the people at home are going to be screaming at the television, like, what are you doing, Davon? And abso-freaking-lutely. If you do not use this veto, I'm going to die. So,
all season, we have waited for this moment where the other side gets some power, and here we are. Here we are.
In Davon's hands. So
what's the talk?
Well, there's lots of talk. So when she talks to Danny, Danny's like, well, I don't want you to feel stupid. Like, if it's best for your game to use it, then you should use it. But then we're going to see Danny do like a complete 180 as the time goes on and she talks to more people. And Davon is not guaranteeing, and she is not even 100% told Kevin that she's taken him off the block. She's like, I've got something up my sleeve.
Which I don't think she can say, right? Like, production always interferes with these things. She cannot say, right? Like, she can't say, I'm going to use my veto.
I mean, I don't know, but she's like, I've got something up my sleeve. Like, no one's going to know what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep it a complete surprise. And that kind of terrifies me a little bit, like, that she's going to do something insane. I mean, there's only three possibilities. She takes down Kevin, she takes down Tyler, or she doesn't use it. So I'm like, is she fixing to, like, take down Tyler? And I mean, she kind of throws it out there, and her and Kevin even have a discussion about, hey, well, they're all saying that I'm safe. Kevin is safe, and no one's going to vote to evict him. So maybe they should use this as leverage to save Tyler. Tyler will join them on their side, and Danny will have to put somebody else up. And this is just a great plan.
No.
Let's talk about it.
Oh my God! This is the worst plan.
Let's talk about if this does happen. So we will have the veto ceremony today. Let's talk some hypotheticals. Hypothetical one. She takes Kevin off the block. No, let's get into that one in a minute. Hypothetical one. She takes Tyler off the block.
I hate it. This is not a good game move. This isn't a good game move. This isn't. I don't care. I don't care what they try to spin out.
Who does she put up? Does she go ahead and put up Ian?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so who does she have freaking left? Danny's getting all the blood on her hands. She puts up effing Christmas. I don't care if she has the power. Make her flush that power. That's honestly, y'all, whenever I was driving home from being out of town, I was reading a few things on Twitter, and so I did see bits and pieces like who won POV, who was HOH. And I was like, please put Christmas up on the block. And I know that Danny knows that Christmas has the power. She
doesn't know what the power is.
She doesn't know what the power is. I don't care. Make her flush it.
Yeah, and I mean, if this is Survivor, they're making her flush the idol, and
flush it.
Yeah. But okay, so like I'm kind of just sitting here thinking, Davon wants Kevin to stay. Okay, so let's say hypothetically she takes Tyler off the block, and they put Ian up. You have Ian, a winner, versus Kevin, the human Eeyore. Do they honestly choose to evict Kevin over Ian?
Probably. Okay, look, if we were talking about probably any other cast, I would think that some of this thought would play into the game. But given the cast that we have and the shit show it has been so far, I do not think that they are going to care, and they will get rid of Ian. Regardless of perception, regardless of what's happened in recent events with his autism. I mean, at the end of the day, they can't take that. They can't. I do not want them to keep Ian just because he has autism. I don't want him to do that. I don't agree with that. Ian doesn't want that. But also, like, they're just, I just hate these people.
So, okay, let's say she takes Tyler off the block and Kevin is up there and Danny's like, I don't want to nominate Ian, because this is what we're seeing with Danny and Davon's talks is Danny really, really does not want to nominate Ian. And she's thinking, I don't want to nominate Ian against Tyler. So let's say Tyler comes off and she's like, I'm not going to put Ian up because we can just vote out Tyler. So let's say she has to put up somebody from the committee. Like, what will that do to this alliance if Danny does not put up Ian and ends up putting up, say, Memphis or
she should put up Memphis. You know what? That would help her perception. Put up Memphis.
Yeah. Even if they don't get voted out, Like, what is that going to do to Danny's position in the game?
I mean, the committee alliance is. It's barely hanging in there as it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, just
It's so fun to think of these hypotheticals. So, lots of possibilities if she takes down Tyler, which would be absolutely freaking insane if she does.
it would be
So
so
dumb.
insane. I think it would also be so stupid because she is the one who put Tyler up there. I know she also put Kevin up, but she put Tyler up there after. You have an opportunity here. He hasn't won the veto.
Right. I'm saying, what if Davon takes Tyler off? That is such a dumb, terrible move.
It's a dumb move. But she's also like Davon and Danny have a somewhat good relationship right now. Or I mean, unless something crazy's happened. They have a pretty good relationship. So I mean, why ruin that?
Yeah, so really interesting possibilities. So, what the committee, as of yesterday, had decided that they want to do is that they're just going to convince Davon that Kevin has the vote. So, there's no reason to make Danny get any more blood on her hands. Everyone's going to vote to evict Tyler, and so they're all just promising her like he's good. You don't want to take him off, because if you take him off, you're going to make yourself a target. What the hell has she been for the last 7 weeks whenever y'all have been targeting her and the people she's working with anyways? Like,
right.
I would be like, I'd give no F's if I'm a target or not.
Yeah.
Because I'm not working with y'all.
Right.
You already took out my ride or die, so anyways.
Yeah.
So the feeds are down for a super long time yesterday. And when they come back, we get Davon and Danny in the HOH room talking, and they are having this conversation where it's just back and forth, where Danny is like, Davon, like, you just don't understand. I cannot put up Ian. I care about him so much. And, it's different. I know that you've got Kevin, but Kevin will forgive you. And Davon's like, no, he won't. If Kevin has nobody else in the house, if I leave him vulnerable, even if he stays, he's not ever going to forgive me. And she says how Kevin has made comments that he's going to be a bitter jury member. And she's like, that guarantees that I lose his vote. And Danny counters with, okay, but you have to get to the end anyways, and it doesn't matter what standing you have with the jury members if you're not one of the final two. And if you use this veto, the chances of you getting to the final two are not good. And, we have the votes to keep Kevin. Like, I have enough influence. I can make sure that everybody keeps him. And Davon is like, okay, well, if you've got that much influence for them to keep Kevin, how come you don't have the same influence for them to keep Ian? And, I mean, she absolutely catches Danny, like, dumbfounded.
What can you say back to this?
Yeah, like, she sits there for, like, a minute, just stumbling over her words, trying to come up with something. So,
does Davon know about, was it just a Danny and Nicole conversation about the whole production talking to them about the autism thing? Like, does Davon know this at all?
I don't think Davon knows about this. She just thinks that Danny and Nicole have a good relationship with Ian in the house, and not that they're worried about the perception of it. And, Cody, whenever he's pushing for Danny to nominate Ian, whenever they were bouncing around still who to use as the re-nominee if Davon uses the veto, he's like, no one's going to care that we were involved with this because we didn't want to work with Ian anyways. Like, we were always planning to vote him out, so who cares if you put him up? And, I mean, yes, he's right a little bit in that, but Danny and Nicole are worried about their perception. And Nicole...
I think that's honestly mostly what they're worried about at this point, because we know that Nicole was talking about sending Ian out.
Yeah.
Just last week, talked about, she might put him up just because he's she does. I don't know. They were having some falling out, but anyways.
Yeah. So, Nicole talks to Cody and is like, I'm not going to vote Ian out. And I'll make it go to a 4-4 tie and make Danny have to evict Ian or Tyler. And she's like, don't tell Danny because I don't want her to be pissed, but I'm 100% not voting Ian out of the game. So we're faced with the possibility of, if option 2 plays out and Davon takes down Kevin, they put Ian up, and it's Ian and Tyler on eviction night, that it could go 4-4 with Enzo, Cody, Memphis, and
Voting
Christmas to keep
Ian.
Tyler.
Right.
Yeah, voting out Ian, and then Kevin, David, Davon, and Nicole voting to keep Ian. And then Danny has to break the tie. So
all right, well, let's talk about option B for a second.
Okay.
That this is a way smarter move for Davon.
Yeah.
I don't care what Danny says. This is a way smarter move for her, because she needs to rally for troops in her alliance, because she doesn't have anyone anymore.
Right.
So
and I mean,
for her to do this, she would prove major loyalty to Kevin, even though I think Kevin is not the best alliance member
right.
that you could have. Not just because he's not very good at competitions, but well, he did win. You know, that was a good one. He did win the Vine Pump. But anyways, not just because of that, but because he has the power of gab, and that dude talks and talks and talks and talks. Yeah. So I don't know that he's the best alliance member, but it's something.
But I think that he'll at least be loyal in the aspect of, hey, you saved me, so I'm going to show you loyalty. And when Kevin doesn't have anybody, I think he will be loyal. But, you know, you kind of get this scenario of, okay, let's say they put Ian up and Tyler up. It goes to a 4-4 tie, and Danny is smart enough to get Tyler out of the house. And now you're left with Ian feeling super betrayed because he's going to be told that he's a pawn, but then he gets 4 votes. Ian, Kevin, David, Davon. Now you're at 4-5. If one of them can win HOH, then this thing can really get flipped around. Like, we're just right on the cusp of something really good happening.
Oh, yeah. And so in the comments, people are talking about, like, Cody going up and Cody's on that. And I think, like, I would love to see Cody next to Tyler, because I think that's the only way Tyler for sure goes.
Or up against Enzo, because no one wants to evict Enzo because of his personality. And so some fun possibilities. Okay, after this conversation with Davon and Danny, and this was a long conversation, like 40 minutes, Davon leaves, Cody comes up, and they're talking, Cody and Danny, and it's super late. And maybe they're a little bit sleep deprived. Danny comes up with this awesome plan. You ready for this one? You don't know this at all.
I know nothing about this. Okay, here we go.
During the veto ceremony, they are going to make Tyler and Kevin leave the room as the nominees. And Danny is going to say, Davon, if you will not use the veto, by a show of hands, how many of y'all will vote out Tyler? And all of the committee members are going to raise their hand. Davon, we're going to vote out. We're going to vote out Tyler, so you don't even need to use the veto. And
Davon is not stupid. She maybe could do this to Christmas. She maybe could do this to Kevin if he had won the veto. But Davon is not this stupid.
I don't think anybody's this stupid, except for maybe David. But I don't think I think if they...
Sam K says, if Davon falls for this, I'm done.
Done. Okay? So...
Well, we have so much hope. We have so many.
I think that if this happens and they actually send these people out, which Danny goes to the DR and asks them if this is allowed. And because it was in the middle of the night, I mean, nobody that can actually make decisions was there. And so they're like, I have to ask. TBD.
But all they have to do is just say Tyler's quitting, and all the major people of production will.
Absolutely, they need to let this happen, because this will be so freaking great. Like, I wish Danny wouldn't have even asked permission. Like, let this be a JT moment of getting up and going and talking at tribal council. Don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. Send them bitches out, try this plan out, and let's see what happens, because this is so... It's never happened before, and it's so so bizarre, and they really think that this is a good idea. And so they go and round up the troops. They get all the committee members up there, and they're telling them, like, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to tell her Kevin is absolutely staying, and then we're going to blindside them, and we're going to vote Kevin out. And they think this is a good idea.
I hope it
I just
happens.
can't. I can't.
I hope it happens. I hope it happens. I hope it's shown on TV.
Yes,
because we
I
won't
mean,
get to see it if it happens,
yeah.
on the
The
TV. We will
producers
not get to see it.
absolutely have to let this happen. Like, we need the good television. And I mean, talk about exposing your alliance. So, okay, they go into this meeting. Obviously, David, Ian, Davon, and Kevin on the block, and Tyler, they don't pull Tyler in on this meeting, okay? Just the 5 committee members that can vote and Danny. So they're going to just drop this on this other 5. So when Danny's like, hey, Davon, we're not going to vote out Kevin, and raise your hands if you'll vote out Tyler. And these 4 people raise their hands, and Davon's 4 people are sitting here like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
who do you think's in an alliance together? Raise your hand. We are. I mean, this is such a dumb move. I cannot wait.
So stupid, but so good.
Yeah.
We as fans deserve this moment.
We deserve
production.
Let
make
it happen. Yeah.
I can't wait. I hope this happens. Someone asked, what time is the veto? What time is the veto?
It's
They're
usually
stressed out.
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock their time?
Yeah, I think so.
So that would be 4 o'clock. I don't know where y'all are at.
Y'all, we don't know where you're at. We don't even know where we're at. Just be looking for it this afternoon.
It'll be it's today. It's normally early afternoon. It's not like at night or anything.
Yeah, it's not usually late afternoon. It's usually early afternoon.
And if you follow us on social media, we post it on there as soon as it happens. So
yeah, you'll want to be jumping on the feeds to see the possibility of the fallout. It's going to be interesting no matter what. If Davon doesn't use it, Kevin's going to be pissed. If Davon takes Kevin off and they put Ian up,
the world's going to be pissed.
The world's going to be pissed. If she takes Tyler down, the world is going to explode. Like, that is it. That is the end of 2020, guys. This is how it ends.
These are the 3 options. Like, no matter what, like, the least amount of damage is Ian or Kevin coming down, but Ian going up in place of Kevin.
Yeah.
Let's do our tweet of the day real quick, because while I didn't know anything, or why this, you sent me this tweet, let's pop our tweet of the day up.
Yeah. So of course it's going to go to our girl Kat Dunn. She always has the best tweets. Her and James, they're our friends, and they go back and forth on to who is the king and who is the queen of the tweets. And today, Kat wins.
Kat wins, but also real quick before I pop this up, want to say that Kat was tweeting this morning, and who was it that replied? Like Howie or somebody replied and was like, "You are Twitter gold. I'm so sorry that it took me so long to follow you."
Yeah, because, I saw that too, but I can't remember who it was.
Kat is she's a never ending. I'm trying to look on my phone right now, because I don't want to give Howie credit where it's not due.
Howie. I can't remember.
It's Matt Hoffman.
Yeah.
He said, yeah. Anyways, so Kat is Twitter gold. Y'all go follow her. And here's her tweet of the day. Says, it's Catherine Dunn. Wait, so hold up. Danny's seriously thinking of putting up Ian, but wait, there's more. She replies to herself, says, because I will effing riot with a
dinosaur.
Yeah, because that is the mascot for Ian. We agree. Yeah. So Kat's on board. The 2020 is just straight up ending.
Yeah. Epic Lucas says, if Ian goes up, 2020 is officially canceled. I think this is something we can all get behind. 2020 is canceled.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we will see what happens, y'all. But there's almost a guarantee that there is going to be some crazy crap happening on the feeds today. So
Yeah.
make sure you
Wow.
sign
I mean, a
up if
lot's
you don't already.
happened since
Yeah,
I was out. Wow. There's a lot going on.
yeah. If y'all got any more questions, y'all drop them real quick. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. It's going to be a really interesting couple days in the Big Brother house. Like, um, if Davon somehow doesn't use it and leaves Kevin up there, she's going to be so betrayed. Which, I mean, there's not a lot she can do from her position, but she's going to be very betrayed by Danny. Um, it's going to be a mess no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Memphis is like, if she does not put up Ian as the replacement nominee, then he's going to be pissed. So I mean, it's just really going to be an implosion.
Yeah.
Yay.
I can't wait. Today's going to be a good day on the feed, y'all.
Yeah.
Be sure before, I know we're watching for comments, if you have any questions, thoughts that you want us to talk about, any hot takes, because y'all, maybe, I don't know if y'all shy away from putting them on here because you don't want us to pop them on the screen, but y'all never shy away from putting them on the comments after our videos posted. I have
Okay,
missed that.
actually, they're doing the POV ceremony right now. Feeds are down. So
Oh,
y'all,
snap.
in the
Oh,
next hour or two, y'all just be ready.
yeah.
Will Christmas still
What?
attempt to use the blocker? So that is an interesting idea. But no, I don't think that Christmas would stick her neck out for anyone but Tyler. And with Tyler already up there, I think she holds on to her power unless she's the one that gets named. But we've discussed that she has to use it before the veto ceremony. So I don't think we see her use it.
George says, is it that you think Ian is playing a good game? And I don't think
No.
Ian's playing a good game, but I don't think anybody in this house is playing a good game, to be completely
Right.
honest.
Yeah. Like
Cody might be
I
playing
think
the best game,
I think Enzo's playing a good game. Um,
but
Enzo's
the
winning
rest of
some
the
props.
house, everyone else sucks. So we just don't have much to compare to be
Right.
honest.
We're just rooting for against the committee, basically. And Ian is just like
Yeah.
such a sweet person, and he
We
never
don't
says
deserve
anything.
him.
Yeah, he
So
never says anything mean about anybody. Like he's just pure, and we like
pure.
him.
Yeah. We don't deserve him.
Yeah. So y'all just get ready because it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, this might be a long the feeds might be down for a minute if they do that whole
Yeah,
ceremony
like
thing.
it could be a while, but tune in because as soon as they come back on, y'all are going to want to see the madness. Um,
Let's see, any more comments? I wish we could stay on until the feeds came back up because
yeah,
we could just drop it to y'all right now, but that's a
but
long
that's
time.
okay.
Like we don't know how long.
We'll have it all tomorrow, so that's okay. We'll have something really interesting to talk about, so we'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll have it tomorrow. We'll have it on our social as soon as it's done. So be sure to go follow us on Instagram and Twitter at RealiTEA_TRHS. I've got a lot of posts put out on our Instagram because we aren't famous enough to have assistants. So me and Kiley run everything ourselves. If you are DMing us, if you are commenting, it's us responding. And anyway, check out our Instagram, check out our Twitters because we'll post the latest on there. I'll be sure to get everything out on Instagram so you guys can comment. And Kylie will get everything out on Twitter. So go follow us on social media. Check that out. We do have some exciting news that the MTV Challenge cast has been leaked, and there's not much else to do in quarantine and with COVID going on. So what better to do than keep up with reality TV? And we will be also keeping up with all things challenge related. So there are some Big Brother players this season, as we expected. So that is exciting. If you watch Big Brother, definitely recommend checking out the challenge. We are going to do a show tonight on we'll do it on here. So be sure that you subscribe, like, comment, That way you'll get a notification whenever we go live tonight. Me and Kyla will be doing a cast preview of who the leaked cast has been, and we'll give our thoughts on each of the cast members. So I'm excited about that.
Once the Big Brother season is over, we will be transitioning into covering the challenge for y'all, and we're real excited about that. We've talked several times about how we run a fantasy draft, and we will also drop that for y'all when it comes time for us to do our challenge fantasy draft. But we would love for y'all to join us there. We do fantasy drafts for Big Brother, Survivor, and the challenge. And y'all, like, our Big Brother pot this season is at almost $2,500. So we have a lot of people that participate. We think it's a pretty good time.
Russell participates in our draft, so
yeah, so it would be super fun if y'all. Yeah, it's basically fantasy football, but it's for your favorite reality shows. So if you enjoy watching all of these shows, you'll want to check that out. And so this cast assessment that we do tonight will give you a sneak peek of who you're going to be able to draft when the challenge comes around. And, we plan to bring you lots of coverage about the challenge.
Yep. So we're going to do the preview tonight, and we'll talk about doing a draft maybe next week sometime of just going back and forth on who we think will be best. So we look forward to bringing that to you guys. Be sure, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, The Russell Hantz Show. That way you will get a notification when we go live tonight, because it's not a part of your regularly scheduled programming. So check us out tonight. We don't know the time yet, so check us out on Instagram and Twitter so that you will get a notification. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Wow, so much is going on in the Big Brother house. We can't wait to tell you tomorrow who has won, what happened with Power Veto. We'll post it on our social media as well. Go check us out. Subscribe, like, comment for all of the latest on Big Brother All-Stars. Cheers, Kiley.
Cheers.
Thanks for catching me up, and y'all have a great day. Bye, guys.